Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill. But if you're new here, my name's Morgan, and I love talking all things reality TV. And today, we are talking about Season 15, Episode 8 of Shark Tank, aka the Holiday Special. Woo! Our sharks for the episode are Barbara, Damon, Kevin, Lori, and Mark, giving us the Christmas gift of a classic tank. Our first pitch of the night is Snow in Seconds. Jonathan walked into the tank looking for $50,000 for 10% of his powder that turns into fake snow in seconds.
Let's make this winter wonderland global and make every day a snow day.
So nice. Wow. It falls like snow.
It's a Christmas miracle. You know, my 8th grade teacher had dandruff just like this.
Here's some video example of how it works. It's a chemical called sodium polyacrylate. It's mostly used in the agricultural industry to put in the soil to help it retain water. Each of the individual grains grow 100 times from their original size once water is put on them. Most importantly, it's non-toxic, so it's safe to play in. It also never melts, which he brings up as like a great thing about it. It's snow that never melts, which is great, but I just kept thinking about using it outside. Like, how do you end up cleaning it up? I mean, I can think of the ways, but it just sounds horrible. I would hate if that was my job. Time to break down some numbers. For starters, he's been doing this for 15 years.
Oh, you've been selling 15 years. That could be problematic.
How's that problematic?
Well, because he's here after 15 years.
However, he does have $2 million in lifetime sales. Last year, they did $241,000 in sales, but unfortunately, they only did $40,000 in profit. We even get a breakdown of how he's getting these sales. 50% are bulk orders for things like movie sets. Another 32% is wholesale, where mostly people are white labeling it. 12% of his sales come from Amazon, and then 6% from their website. So the product cost breakdown we get are for like little individual bags he sells. He has a small that retails for $4.99 and it cost him 72 cents to make. Then there's a large that's $12.99 and cost him $1.20 to make. And then an extra large that sells for $24.99 and it costs them $4.20 to make. $4.20. So I obviously wanted to know how much bulk snow was because, I mean, number one, it's the majority of their business. And then number two, I wanted to know how much it would cost to fill up my entire house with snow. So I went to their website, and for perspective, the smallest bag you can get, that $4.99 bag, makes a gallon of snow. The biggest order I could find is 100 pounds. It makes 1,300 gallons of snow and covers a 1,200 square foot area. It will also cost you $1,199.99, but it is 15% off right now. So honestly, I think that's a steal. Like, I want to fill up my whole house with snow. Also, going back to the pricing of everything, it looks like they've actually raised their prices. And on top of that, you can't just buy one of the small bags by themselves. I don't know if maybe he's talking about it's $4.99 at like a retail store if it's by itself, but on his website, the smallest bag you have to buy in a pack of 3, and it costs you $19.99. The large is $15.99, and the extra large is $27.99, but everything's 15% off right now. So, and I also don't know if it's one of those things where, you know, it's always 15% off, but they're just wanting to be like, oh, look, it's a sale. So Kevin then wants to know if they've done retail at all, because it wasn't something he mentioned in his sales breakdown. And he said they did have a deal with Kroger and Fred Meyer's in 1,500 stores that had gone super well, and they reordered. But unfortunately, at the time, he was going through a really hard divorce, and his business partner had to take over everything. And the business partner decided he wanted to outsource the production to somebody completely new, and it made them miss their shipment to Kroger and Fred Meyer's, ultimately kind of ruining that whole deal. Then we find out he has another 15-year-old business with the same business partner that's in sports technology that's actually like a proper business. He has employees. It makes like 10 times the revenue.
And you bring that to the show.
Now that sounds like a real business.
Yeah, well,
I love when they ask questions or say stuff like this when they know the answer. Like, Barbara, why do you think he didn't bring it in? Lori decides to be our first shark to jump in. She says she loves all the branding, the name, the packaging, all that. but hates how seasonal and specific it is. You know, we hear that this whole episode, and it's like, it's the holiday episode. All of these things are going to be seasonal, but we're not going to get frustrated about it, guys. We're just going to move on. And because it's so seasonal and specific, Lori goes out. Then Kevin decides to give us a classic Kevin moment.
Sometimes a deal comes in that I really, really hate, and this is top of the list for this season.
Oh, okay.
I hate it because it's seasonal. I hate it because the sales are abysmal and irrelevant. I hate the fact that it distracts you from a real business.
Why don't you tell them what you really think?
This deal sucks. I'm out.
Mark gives another classic of, it's a great business for you, but just not investable for me. But honestly, he said it so monotone. It was almost like he's tired of saying that, and it just auto programs out of him. He was like, it's a great business for you, not investable for me. I'm out. Like, it was so deadpan. It was so funny to me. Barbara then informs him that he has 3 almost insurmountable problems.
Only 3?
Number 1, $40,000 in profit. Obviously isn't the most exciting thing in the world. Number 2, the fact that it's a 15-year-old business is always suspicious, as Barbara says.
Consistency.
Low profits consistently year after year.
Her third and final reason is that he's busy. I'm assuming she's talking about with running his more successful business, and she's worried that that will take time away from this one that's obviously a little less exciting. But she is interested. She already has experience doing holiday deals with things like Hollyball and Hire Santa, so she decides she'll take a flyer on him and offers him $50,000 for 33.3%. Damon lets us know that his offer wasn't going to be nearly as good as Barbara's, so he decides to step out. Jonathan tries countering Barbara for 25%, but Barbara knows her worth this season. She has been fighting back almost every time, and not just with a no, like she gives full out reasons. Number 1 is she can introduce him to a lot of the accounts that the Hollyball girls have opened up. She pretty much says that he can just ride their gravy train, and Jonathan realizes that sounds like a pretty good idea. So he decides to make the deal with Barbara for $50,000 for a third of his business. And the pitch concludes with Kevin once again giving us another classic Kevin moment for Christmas.
The fact that you got a deal is a Christmas miracle. Barbara, hundreds of dollars for you. Hundreds of dollars for you, Lori.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
20 cents for me. This is a fantastic business, Barbara. Fantastic.
Final thoughts. I mean, it looks super fun. As Kevin pointed out at one point, it's not something that's proprietary. That's kind of how he got to the point of, oh, well, we've been open 15 years. But I mean, even when you look on Amazon, there's a bunch of knockoffs of similar things. And since it's literally just a chemical compound that anybody can have access to, I mean, there's knockoffs of it all over. So I'd be really interested if there's any actual quality difference with it really just being a chemical that gets put in a package. But I don't know if there's some sort of processing of the chemical that makes it better fake snow versus another way to process it. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. I make funny videos. That's it. Well, funny to me. But if I needed some fake snow, I would definitely try this out. Like, why not? Why not just fill up your entire house with snow? No, the reason not to fill up your entire house with snow is this doesn't melt. That is my big sticking point with this. I get that is a good thing and a pro, but I'm just picturing filling up an entire backyard or something as like a present to your kids and then cleaning it up. That sounds horrible. Overall, just a good, easy, classic pitch. I do like that he valued himself well. Y'all know I love when just a company like this comes in and doesn't act ridiculous. He knows what he's been doing. And I appreciate and respect that. Our second pitch of the night is Pickup Bricks. Entrepreneurs Aurora and Steven walked into the tank looking for $200,000 for 10% of their vacuum that picks up kids' toys like Legos. They don't say Legos, but I can say Legos.
Wow, this thing is serious.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful's winning.
You don't have to clean them all up.
They're having so much fun.
I'm done. Look.
Here's here's a little example of how it works. It's pretty self-explanatory though. It's just a little vacuum and they can pick up all their little toys. It also has a separate compartment to trap dirt and dust, so that way you have cleaner toys. They started developing the product 4 years ago, but just started selling it the previous summer, and so far they have $384,000 in sales. However, no idea if they're profitable or not. They did not say. It cost them $32.64 to make. It retails for $99, and we got their customer acquisition cost. At first, it was $26, but recently they got it all the way down to $11, and they have a goal to get it under $10. Kevin points out that if they ever want to get into retail stores, they're going to have to lower the cost it is to make the product to under $12. They said they've been looking around at different manufacturers and they found one that can get them under $20, but that's the best they've done so far. Barbara then gets to ask the classic question of, what do you need a shark for? They say their biggest thing is that they need inventory. They're trying to get prepared for the holiday season. That's when they do the bulk of their sales, and it's hard for them to get that amount of inventory with the money they have. So I don't think this is a super profitable company. Again, they didn't say. That's just me speculating. Kevin says what he always says about these businesses, and that's that he wants to 10x his investments when he makes them into a business, meaning they'd need to sell their business for $20 million, and he sees that as a long and difficult journey, if it can even happen at all. Also, Kevin did a lot of work in the toy space when he was younger, and he knows how difficult it is. So for all those reasons, he's out. Going off that, Mark wants to know how big they think this can actually get. And they talk about how they're starting to do expansion internationally to UK and Germany next year, and that they hope that with the help of a shark, or if they have to on their own, that they can get their manufacturing costs below $12, so that way they can start expanding into retail as well. Then we have this moment with Mark being like, when you dream, what do you dream the sales will be like in the next 3 years? And they say that they want to sell 1 million units, aka $100 million in sales. And it's just like, is there a reason you think you're gonna get there? Like, what is this weird, like, what do you dream about? Like, I don't care. I dream also that I will sell $1 million of something, or $100 million. I'm so sorry. But, you know, I'm just dreaming that. What does that mean for anything? Damon really likes the product, but he thinks manufacturing is gonna be a huge pain point for them because they're gonna have to constantly be raising money. He thinks a better idea for them would be to do some sort of licensing agreement with somebody who's already in the toy retail space, where they pay for a licensing fee to manufacture it and sell it in big box stores, and then they can just stick to their online sales. They say it's not something that they're opposed to, so Damon makes them an offer of $200,000 for 20%. Barbara also wants to throw her hat in the ring. She says that she can see them being a super successful company off of only one product, which isn't something a lot of people can do. And she thinks the only thing they really need is cash. So she offers them $400,000 as a line of credit for 20% of the business.
Give them a predatory credit line.
It really bothers me that they never actually will usually tell us what the credit interest rate's gonna be. They're always just like, I promise it'll be the lowest in town. That's exactly what Barbara says. And they always do that. And I'm like, just tell us. What are you gonna do? Like, and it starts to become a bit of a shark fight, as Lori is also interested and thinks Damon was completely right, so she just copies his offer of $200,000 for 20%. With everybody starting to jump in, Damon has to stand up for why he thinks he would be the worthiest shark.
I'm the only shark up here right now at the moment with a 7-year-old, so I'm stepping on these.
So you get it.
The entrepreneurs start to talk about how important retaining equity is to them, and they say 20% is just more than they were willing to give away. Mark hears this and is like, okay, and decides to undercut all the sharks, offering $200,000 for 12%. They decide to take a moment to pause and think about it, and Damon says what everybody is thinking.
You're scaring me because you're even thinking about what that chump just offered you. Why wouldn't you take that deal?
But Lori is not down for the count, and she decides to bring her offer down to 15%. And Damon's pretty much just like, fine, me too, but I'm not going to 12%. Then the entrepreneurs, who do not want to give up very much equity, have the great idea to try to get Lori and Mark to team up, but Mark tells them there's just not enough equity for 2 sharks. So they offer to to bring it up to 15% instead of the 12% that Mark originally offered, but it still just isn't enough. Lori and Mark say they need at least 18%. Then Aurora has one last ditch effort, asking if they'll go down to 16% in the funniest little sidebar moment that I've seen in a minute.
16?
No.
Can I ask one more time? All right, I'm gonna ask one more time, but don't get mad at me.
Apparently, Lori and Mark are in the holiday spirit, and they decide to agree to the 16% for $200,000. Final thoughts. I mean, it looks fun, but I don't have any kids, but I was a kid, and I can see this being something that was really exciting the first couple times, and then it goes to the back of the closet and you never see it again. And that's a lot for something that's $99. Usually you don't want those kind of toys to be that expensive. Or worse than that, it just becomes not a toy anymore and it becomes a chore and the kid hates it and you gave it to them for Christmas one year and it's like, I don't know. If you have any kids, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. If you would buy it for them, if you think they would use it more than 3 times. That's just my own personal opinion on all that. Our third pitch of the night is Black Paper Party. Entrepreneurs Madia, Jasmine, and Jaren walked into the tank looking for $250,000 for 5% of their seasonal items such as gift wrap and decor that focuses on celebrating Black families.
You know, I didn't know Santa Claus was black, I swear to God.
Listen, I'm telling you.
If I had to listen to that cringy line from Barbara, so do y'all. Here's some examples of the different items they sell. As you can see at the moment, they mostly just focus on Christmas stuff. Actually, they almost completely focus on Christmas stuff. They have gift wrap, stockings, ornaments, and then other decor items, anything that you might need to make your house a home for the holiday season. They could see that Black families were super underrepresented when it comes to holiday stuff. As somebody who's been to a store recently and looked through holiday items, I can tell you that, it's gotten better since the 90s, I guess, by a little bit, but you're mostly going to see white people on all the packaging, ornaments, all that sort of stuff. So they decided to take all of their very perfect backgrounds for this and come together to create Black Paper Party. For example, Jaren is the big artist of the group. She had recently done pre-visual development for Disney Junior's The Little Mermaid. Both Madia and Jasmine come from a more retail background. Madia did do design though. She first worked as a textile designer for Target, then she went on to become a product development and sourcing manager for Walmart. Lastly, we have Jasmine, who spent her entire career at Walmart. She started out as an associate merchant in the bakeware aisle and then moved on to become a merchandise financial planner for pretty much all of home decor. So literally the three of them couldn't have a more perfectly matched up background to be doing exactly what they're doing. I love that for them. They started the business in 2020 and then we get a fun little sales ramp that we've been super into. In 2020, they did $44,000 in sales. That was before they were in retail at all. In 2021, it jumped to $274,000. 2022, it was $844,000. And this year, they're on track to do $1.1 million. And yes, we do have a profitable company. On last year's, the $844,000, they profited $158,000, and that was after they paid themselves. So not only are they profitable, but they're paying themselves. We love it. We can't. Beautiful. Perfect. They also give us a little breakdown of where their sales come from. 57% of them are going to come from wholesale, 16% direct to consumer, and 27% is licensing agreements. Speaking of wholesale, they're in 6 different retailers, including Macy's, Target, and Walmart, and they're going to be in over 6,000 stores. The only pricing example we get is for a roll of gift wrap. It costs them $2.33 to make, and they retail it for $10, but they didn't tell us how much it costs to wholesale it, which I would really like to know. Like I said earlier in the video, right now they only really do Christmas stuff, but they said they're really excited to expand into other holidays and just general kind of everyday celebrations in the near future. I did go on their website. It doesn't look like they've really done that yet. I saw one gift wrap roll that was jungle themed that I could say is, a very everyday sort of present, but that was literally it, just that one roll of gift wrap. So otherwise, they're still just on the Christmas train. Obviously, the women seem to be killing it, so Lori asks the age-old question, why do you need a shark? They say they want to expand their e-commerce business along with improving their marketing strategies to help drive people to the retail stores.
Right, because guys, it sounds like you might not be making money in stores.
And this line from Mark is why I want to know what they wholesale it for so bad, because I don't really understand why he doesn't think that they're making any money from retail, but that would make the most sense to me, is that they're wholesaling it too high maybe and they're not really making a good margin on it, but that wasn't in there, so I'm just kind of like, why does he think that? I guess we'll never know. They tell Mark that's not really their issue. They say their big issue with retail is they can't fulfill the demand, and it's limiting the number of accounts they can take on, thus limiting the amount of money they can make from retail. Kevin doesn't like their distribution strategy, aka the fact that they're doing it themselves. He thinks they should have gone to one of the 3 big holiday type corporations. Kevin always knows how many of these like behemoth companies there are, like the dental industry. He'll be like, there's 5 players. Like, he just knows all the weirdest shit. And anyway, he says they should have tried to go partner with one of them, so that way they could have gained access to the giant amounts of distribution that they already have. Ultimately, Kevin just thinks it's too small, so he's our first shark out. Damon starts to talk about how their $5 million valuation paired up against their $1.1 million in sales, and the fact that they only offered 5% makes it hard for him to see where there's room for him in the business.
Well, you're looking for room, I'd like to make an offer.
Barbara swoops in saying how impressed she is with them and that they are perfect from their products to their backgrounds, so she makes them an offer of $250,000 for 15%. Then all the sharks kind of start discussing this, and we see Mark lean over to Barbara to have a little whisper time.
It's
So
not
Barbara, you don't
bad.
wanna do
I
something?
mean, listen, I look at you
You don't wanna do
guys and
With you,
all I
of course,
think
jump in with
about
me.
What?
I want to
market,
invite you in. I don't want you
product,
inviting me in.
people.
Okay,
And
what do you
people,
think?
you are
We miss a lot of what Lori has to say because she's talking during Mark and Barbara whispering back and forth, but ultimately what she has to say is that she doesn't really like doing seasonal deals. It's just not really her thing, and she thinks Barbara has made them a good offer and would be the perfect partner for them, so she goes out. After that, Barbara informs us all that she has added Mark to the deal, and now their offer is $250,000 for 20%. The women try countering $450,000 for 18%. I have to give it to them. It does lower their valuation. Originally, their offer that they presented put it at $5 million. This one puts it at $2.5 million. But Barbara and Mark say literally absolutely not. So I have to give it to them though. They were smart about it. They weren't just like pulling out a crazy number. Like, yes, it is a lot of money, but at least the valuation makes sense, because some people can't do that, and it's frustrating. Then they decide to try countering Barbara by herself, and they offer her $250,000 for 10%.
And leave my poor guy Mark out? Of course I will. I'm sorry, Mark.
That's okay, Barbara.
And they end up making a deal with Barbara for $250,000 for 10%. Final thoughts. Number 1, I love the 3 of them. I just think they're fantastic. If they're not like Barbara's next Hollyball girls that she talks about multiple times during this episode, because obviously it's a seasonal episode and they've done really well, but I want to be hearing all about Black Paper Party this time next year as her shining example of getting out there and killing it. I actually happened to see this at Target before we watched this episode. They came out and I was staring at their shirts and I was like, that logo looks really familiar. And then I realized I had seen, I think it was just some of the gift wrap. It didn't seem like it had a very big section. My Target's not very big though, so any of the seasonal type sections are never as big as they are pretty much everywhere else. But I saw some of their gift wrap and maybe some ornaments, I think. They were very cute, but I did not buy any that day. That was not why I was there. I did have to go look around in the holiday section because I did need ornament hangers. So I was over there for a justified reason, but I promised myself I wouldn't buy anything I didn't need while I was in there, and I did it. Overall, great business. Love a business that's profitable and they pay themselves. They had their numbers down. I'm so glad they got a deal, and I hope to see them growing and thriving in the future. Then we get the weirdest moment in Shark Tank history that we've had in a little while. We get an ad during the show for an Illumination animation film. So not even like a Disney company, nothing ABC. Why are we getting why are we getting this ad in the middle? They present it as Tipsy Elves have come back and are pitching these duck theme sweaters that go along with the movie. Also, Robert appears out of nowhere. It's like a jump scare of Robert. Love him, but it was just like, where did you come from? And it's just this like little ad in the middle of the episode. It was so weird. Like, I know ABC did an ad for the Kardashian show during Bachelor, but at least that's to ABC. That was Hulu, but Hulu, Disney, ABC, it made sense. It was like, it was terrible to watch as a viewer, but it made sense why they did that. This one, I'm like, how much money did they get paid? Why also? Just, it was awful. I'm not even going to subject any of y'all to any of the clips because I hated it and I don't even want to rewatch it. I'm just going to skip it while I'm doing my notes. So, like, obviously ABC is hurting for money, but at least with the Kardashian ad in The Bachelor, it really was just like a pure ad. They just put an ad in there. Pretty much. They were like, we're going to cut to this new clip from Kardashians. This whole bit thing with Tipsy Elves coming back and trying to pretend like it's the next pitch, but then Robert being there and they're all in different clothing. It was just so dumb. I hated it. Anyway, that's it. We're moving on. I'm going to try to forget about it. Our fourth and final pitch of the night is Tomte Cake. Miranda walked into the tank looking for $200,000 for 10% for her new idea for a family Christmas tradition. Here's some different photos of the product and it in use. Pretty much, she got given a gingerbread making kit for her and her kids to use, and she just thought it was super complicated, it's hard to put together, it makes a mess, and she just thought there had to be a better way. So she came up with doing the idea of gingerbread house cakes. So she has these 3D cake pans that look like little gingerbread houses, and then you can decorate the cake and it's already all put together and all you have to do is worry about the decoration part. It did not stop there though because she decided she wanted to make a whole new tradition around this, so she came up with the idea of the gnome Tomte, and pretty much, you put him inside of one of the two cakes, and whoever finds Tomte in their cake has good luck for the rest of the Christmas season. She also has a little book that comes with the cake tins and the little Tomte that tells you the story of Tomte the gnome.
Oh, Mark's the lucky one.
He's had enough luck already. He didn't need that.
I'm out.
She started in October of last year and sold out the 5,000 units of inventory that she was able to acquire in 35 days, and that equaled $200,000 in sales. The product cost her $15 to make, and she sells the kit for $60 on her website. So Barbara asks what we're all wondering, how did all these people just immediately find you? We found out that she put a Facebook ad out there for about $40,000 and people just clicked the link and found her. She just blew up. Of course, this makes Damon wonder if she has any history in online sales, and we find out that she's just a normal stay-at-home mom and has been for the last 8 years. But Barbara's like, there has to be something more to your background, and there is. She tells us the reason that she's so holiday and Christmas obsessed is because she actually left the religious cult that she was raised in growing up. They didn't celebrate any holidays or birthdays, so when she got out of it and did all that stuff for the first time, she just really loved it and wanted to make sure she made those moments special for her own kids. She talks about how she really wants to make this a new holiday tradition. She wants to be the next elf on the shelf. So Damon wants to know what she's exactly expecting from a shark besides for money, and she says the main thing she needs is mentorship. She says she's more of a creative type and she wants to work on making new products that branch off of this, and she's just not really a business person at heart.
Yeah, you could have fooled us, man.
Next, Damon wants to know how much money she's put in the business. We find out she's put in $150,000, and she got that money by mortgaging her house and taking a loan out against her car.
Damn.
However, it all has been paid back already, so Kevin loves it. He thinks it's simple, elegant, and an easy story to understand, so he offers her $200,000 for 25% equity, plus his fun new little payout rule that's been kind of replacing his royalty offers. This one is 25%, so pretty much for every dollar that she takes out to pay herself, she has to pay him 25 cents, aka a 25% payout. whenever you're taking money out of the business. Damon is the question asker for this pitch. His next question to her is, what exactly does she need the money for? She says she needs to bulk up on her inventory and also have the ability to finance purchase orders if she ever gets one. This makes Kevin wonder if she's interested in going into retail, and she says she is.
Who's asked you to go to retail?
My heart.
This starts to make Kevin question his offer, but that's okay because other sharks are very interested. Lori sees the potential of the product being able to expand into other holidays and make it more of an evergreen product rather than a seasonal product, and she offers $200,000 for 1/3 of the business. That may seem kind of steep, but Mark says that that is way better than he could ever do, so he is our first shark to go out. Next, Barbara jumps in, saying that what she really is probably looking for is not just one mentor, but a team of mentors to surround her and help her. This obviously leads Barbara to hyping up her own team that helps her with her Shark Tank investments, and she offers $200,000 for 20%. Then Damon tries to start jumping in with Barbara at 25%, but Barbara gets him back for him rejecting her at first on Yum Crumb's last episode and says she doesn't need his help, and also she doesn't want to take what she deems as a greedy amount of equity with the 25%. Miranda then starts to ask Lori how she feels about going into retail, and while Lori's trying to answer that, Damon starts trying to jump in with Lori too, but she rejects him, also saying she doesn't need his help. Finally, Damon decides to make his own offer of $200,000 for 25%, just him.
Well, that's 4 offers. What do you want to do?
Miranda then asks Barbara how she would approach the whole retail thing, and Barbara goes back to saying that she has the most important thing that anybody needs, and that's a great team, including all of the other holiday Shark Tank investments she's done, and she says all of those people would be willing to help her.
Sounds great, but I'll tell you what my entrepreneurs do with my team. We make money.
Then Miranda tries to counter just Lori, very risky move, for 20%.
That's what I offered you, but you'd prefer working with Lori.
No, I'm not saying that.
I hate so much when they lie. It's like, don't lie. Like, yes, you want to work with Lori. Just say it. It makes you look dumb when you don't just say it, honestly, because it's obvious. Like, it's clear that it doesn't matter. I'm going on a rant. Lori says the absolute lowest she can go is 25%, but Miranda decides to try countering again anyway for 22%.
I'll do 25.
Lori may not be budging, but Kevin has decided that he wants to make things interesting, so he drops his equity to 15%. Then there's just like a lot of bickering between all the different sharks. The main one was Damon pointing out that they all have teams that help their sharks, a very we all sing moment. I loved it though, I was here for it. Barbara, of course, was like, no, but mine is different. During all the back and forth, Lori's like, I'll go down to 24%.
20. Do 20, Lori.
Well, I went down a little.
I know you did.
Finally, the sharks are over it, and they say it is time for her to make a decision. And she chooses Kevin. I was shocked. Everybody was shocked. Honestly, the biggest upset of Shark Tank history.
Wow.
Hello!
Egg on my face.
I've never seen a Mr. Wonderful swoop
Wow,
before.
what a
You
surprise.
want to know something?
Wow.
It was all about money.
It was the Grinch that
Yeah.
stole Christmas.
No, honestly, Kevin.
Wow.
That is the first
You know-
Mr. Wonderful
Good move.
swoop in the history of Shark Tank.
I cannot believe that.
wait,
Kevin.
wait
Matter
for
was
it.
the percentage.
You know what he's saying?
Lori's so greedy. She's so greedy. Daddy, don't let me near her. She's so greedy.
So she leaves the tank with a deal with Mr. Wonderful for $200,000 for 15%. Final thoughts. It's not really something I get. I didn't get Elf on the Shelf when it came out, and now it's a huge thing, so you never know. As far as the idea for doing a gingerbread house cake instead of a real gingerbread house, I do actually like that, but I would probably just buy any house cake pan. It's not like that's the only house shaped cake pan in the world. They're out there anywhere. If you just Google house cake pan, they'll come up, multiple cute ones, lots of Christmassy themed ones. And yeah, I might be stealing that for next year because how fun. I have built a Oreo brand gingerbread house before, and it was fun, but I will say it was a little difficult. It would be nice. Cake is just so much better. Definitely agree. Even with it being Oreo brand, it didn't really taste it was kind of stale. A cake would just be so much better, so much easier, especially like with small kids who this is marketed towards. It was 2 adults building this, and it took a minute. I can't imagine having small kids. So I love that part of the idea. I don't get these new things, again, like Elf on the Shelf. That's just not, I just don't understand it. But if somebody likes it and is having fun with it, good for them. It's not hurting anybody. So, and that, my friends, is a wrap on season 15, episode 8 of Shark Tank, the holiday special. Woo! One thing I will say about the episode overall is I don't feel like they go all out enough for this holiday episode. For Halloween, they had all the super cool decorations. They had the red Shark Tank in between thing, the graphics. On this one, they did do the little fun jingle ball graphics, but other than that, it really, like, the set wasn't any different. The in-between cards weren't any different. I feel like they could do something. And now that they have the snow and second sky, it better be just a winter wonderland in there next year. Like, step it up. Step it up. Although Halloween is my favorite holiday, so I am glad if they have to pick one holiday to go all out on. But you should be able to do both, ABC. Get it together. Also, at the end of the episode, we got this end screen that I talked about during episode 6. We've been getting it since then, so I guess it's just a new end screen that's going to be on all the episodes, which means there probably wasn't anything, I guess, drama going on with a company from that specific episode. But who knows? I wonder what led them to start putting this at the end again, because, I mean, it's not like it's a new policy. It's always been that way, that there are multiple deals on Shark Tank that fall through before they ever actually end up signing any papers. So if you know of any, juicy drama that I might be missing out on, let me know, because I guess I need to do a little investigating. Or they just want to remind people of this again, because there's probably people who just honestly don't know, if we're being real. So maybe they just wanted to remind people again, but I feel like there's got to be some other reason, Finally, have you seen any of these products out in the store? Have you tried any of them? Do you know what juicy drama there may be that led to the new end card? Let me know all that and more down below in the comments. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.